Hello. When you are at a crossroads between choosing yourself or helping someone close to you at the cost of your peace of mind, what would you do? Does your conscience bother you that you refuse help or choose to feel good about yourself? Because in the end, of course, our peace of mind is important first. This is one of the most challenging internal conflicts we face, isn't it? You know the moment, you get a call from a loved one who always seems to be in crisis, right when you finally found a quiet moment for yourself. And that choice between caring for them and caring for you almost always comes with a heavy dose of guilt. So let's dive into this and really understand what's happening inside of us. You can think of this as a kind of psychological clash. It's an internal tug of war. On one side, there's a deep, powerful sense of duty and connection. But on the other, there's an equally vital need for personal boundaries. And these two forces, both so important, get activated in these exact situations. So let's break that down. On one hand, you have the need for connection. That's the part of you that wants to be a good, helpful, empathetic person, the part that wants to show up for your friends. But pulling in the exact opposite direction is your need for balance. That's your drive for self-preservation, for your own mental health. It's the part that knows you're already running on empty. Now, feeling this pull isn't a flaw. It's actually a sign that two of your core needs are just trying to talk to each other. The real problem isn't having two needs. The problem is this deeply ingrained belief, this little voice in our heads that says putting ourselves first is selfish. It's a false equation so many of us learn, and honestly, it's one of the most damaging stories we can tell ourselves. Which brings us to the main event, right? The guilt. It feels so real, so powerful, like it's in charge. But where does this intense emotion actually come from? Let's take a moment to uncover the roots of this very specific feeling. You know, guilt in these situations is rarely just about what's happening right now. It's usually an echo from the past. Maybe you were brought up to be the good kid, the one who never disappointed anyone. Or maybe it comes from a deep-seated fear that if you say no, people won't love you anymore. For a lot of us, it's tied to this subconscious idea that our worth as a person is based on how useful we are to everybody else. See if any of those resonate with you. This brings us to something that is absolutely crucial to understand. We have to learn how to separate healthy empathy from self-destructive sacrifice. See, empathy is about feeling with someone. It's about being present with them in their struggle. Self-destructive sacrifice, on the other hand, is about losing yourself for them. It's when you take on their struggles so completely that it just depletes you. One builds connection, the other leads straight to burnout and resentment. So, how do we handle this? How do we find a way forward? Well, instead of getting trapped in that all-or-nothing choice, let's build a whole new framework for making these decisions. One that's all about providing healthy help, not engaging in self-sacrifice. And it starts by asking a totally different question. We get stuck asking ourselves, should I help? Yes or no? But that's not actually the most useful question. There's a much more insightful, much more empowering way to approach this. So here's a kind of internal checklist. The next time a request comes in, just pause and ask yourself these things. Is this a one-time crisis, or is this part of a long-term pattern? Is the other person actually taking any responsibility for their own situation? Am I really the only person who can help them? And finally, and this one is so important, what is the real cost going to be for me, for my energy, my time, my own mental health? Think of your emotions as an internal alarm system. You have to pay close attention to them. If trying to help someone consistently leaves you feeling drained or anxious or even a little bit angry, that's not a sign you're a bad person, not at all. That is clear data. It's your system telling you that this has crossed the line from healthy support into a broken boundary. Okay, so let's pull all of this together and talk about finding a sustainable balance. This is really about redefining what it means to choose yourself, not as an act of selfishness, but as a necessary act of self-preservation. This is a hard truth, but it's non-negotiable. You know the oxygen mask rule on an airplane, right? You have to secure your own mask before you can help anyone else. It isn't selfish, it's a prerequisite. You simply cannot be a stable, reliable source of support for anyone if you're running on empty. So let's be really clear and bust some of the myths that guilt loves to tell us. Choosing to protect your own peace does not mean you don't love the other person. It does not mean you're insensitive or cold, and it absolutely does not mean you're abandoning them. Those are just the fears and old pattern uses to keep you stuck. So what does it mean then? It's actually pretty simple. It just means that you have the self-awareness to be honest about your own capacity in this moment. Recognizing and honoring your limits isn't a moral failing. It's a profound sign of emotional maturity. And yet, let's be real. Even after understanding all of this with your head, that nagging feeling can still be there, can't it? Knowing this stuff intellectually doesn't make the guilt magically disappear overnight. So what do we do with that feeling? Let's try to reframe that guilt one last time. What if that feeling isn't a sign that you're doing something wrong? What if it's actually a sign that you're doing something different? That discomfort you feel, that's often the feeling of growth. It's the feeling of you shedding an old, familiar role, like the rescuer or the peacekeeper, and stepping into a more authentic you. The key takeaway here is that this isn't an all-or-nothing game. A more balanced approach is always possible. You can help, but with clear communicated limits, like saying, I have 20 minutes to talk right now. You can offer your presence without taking on their burden, saying something like, I can be here with you in this, but I can't carry it for you. You can find ways to provide support that don't require you to sacrifice your own peace. And so, I'll leave you with this question to reflect on. As you think about the patterns in your own life and relationships, ask yourself, what old, depleting role are you ready to finally leave behind?